Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your imperfections, wishing you could just be stronger, more capable, or even perfect? Life can hit hard, and sometimes our weaknesses feel like chains that pull us down. But what if those very weaknesses are the keys to unlocking a profound strength that we never imagined possible? Imagine standing in the midst of your struggles, realizing that you are not alone. Here's an incredible promise that has the potential to transform your perspective. 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." Take a moment to absorb that powerful declaration. The very essence of God's grace is that it shines brightest against the backdrop of our inadequacies. We often perceive weakness as a limitation, but this verse flips that narrative upside down. God doesn't merely tolerate our weaknesses, He intentionally uses them as a canvas for His strength. How comforting is that? When we acknowledge our vulnerabilities, we make room for divine intervention. Each struggle we face becomes an opportunity for Christ's power to take center stage in our lives. It's not about hiding our weaknesses in shame or embarrassment. Instead, it's about boasting in them, as Paul suggests. This isn't reveling in defeat, it's celebrating the fact that where we falter, God meets us with grace. Here's a mini revelation to ponder. Embracing our weaknesses leads to deeper intimacy with God. When we come to terms with our limitations, we find ourselves leaning into prayer more deeply, crying out for help. We invite God into the cracks of our lives, and in those cracks, His light can shine through brilliantly. Isn't it amazing to think that our imperfections can actually draw us closer to Him? Now picture this. Imagine sharing your struggles with a trusted friend or community. There's power in vulnerability. It's disarming. It creates an atmosphere where others feel safe to share their own battles. This kind of community can transform not only personal relationships, but also the very fabric of our spiritual journeys. As you go about your day, I challenge you to identify an area in your life where you feel inadequate. Instead of keeping it hidden, bring it to God in prayer. Lord, I'm grateful for your grace even in my struggles. Allow His power to manifest through your transparency. Next, consider how you might help others grappling with similar challenges. Your experience could be the lifeline that lifts them from despair to hope. When you start to see your weaknesses as opportunities to showcase God's strength, you create a ripple effect of empowerment around you. So let this resonate deeply. Being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. It's a courageous step toward transformation. Embrace your imperfections as pathways to His grace. Reflect on how God's power can be made perfect in your weakness today, and allow that truth to anchor your soul. Now, before we wrap up, how might your life change if you began to boast about your weaknesses? What power could flow through you if you opened your heart in honesty? I encourage you to lean into that challenge. Your journey is not just about overcoming struggles. It's about allowing God's strength to illuminate your path. If this message speaks to your heart, give it a like, subscribe for more insights, and reflect on how God's power can be at work in your life today. Together, let's embrace our weaknesses and celebrate the strength that comes from Him.